A peculiar alien spaceship suddenly appeared in the clearing. Scientists immediately pulled it into the laboratory, ready to carry out detailed research. But to everyone's astonishment, not a single seam was found on the spaceship. Even when they used a high-temperature flame gun to cut, they couldn't make a dent in the hull, just as everyone was at a loss. A boy sneaked into the laboratory. He was amazed at the spaceship before him. However, just then, the metal at the tail of the spaceship suddenly melted and solidified into a series of suspended steps. The sudden change left the boy dumbfounded. But he still couldn't resist his curiosity. He stepped onto the steps and carefully walked towards the spaceship. As he poked his head into the cabin, the sight inside widened his eyes. The entire spaceship was made of an unknown metal. It looked full of technology. He couldn't help but walk into the interior of the spaceship. It was then the boy noticed. There were various pictographic scripts on the floor of the spaceship, but his attention was entirely captured by the metallic sphere in front of him. As he examined the sphere closely, he completely missed the change in the floor behind him. It had become the shape of a chair. Belle was terrified by this sudden development. In his panic, he was still trying to understand what had happened. The metallic sphere in front of him suddenly opened, emitting a voice amidst colorful lights.
Who is that?
Sit down, don't move.
At this point, Belle finally understood. The sphere in front of him was the spaceship's intelligent control system, and he was waiting for its final command. But the dumbfounded Belle was still unclear about what command it was. The metallic sphere suddenly appeared in front of him. It was then that the on-duty guard suddenly discovered that the laboratory's spaceship had its hatch opened. He immediately sounded the security alarm. The scientists, hearing the alarm, rushed to the laboratory. The base's guards were also fully armed and ready. The intelligence system informed Belle of the situation. Realizing he had caused a big trouble, he hastily asked the system to close the spaceship's hatch, then sat on the chair praying for the system to take him away. Under the control of the intelligence system, the spaceship began to rise slowly into the air. Within just a few seconds, the spaceship had broken several strong chains. Then, the spaceship shot a blue laser from the front, destroying the control of the gate valve, and remotely controlled the tightly closed steel gate to open. The spaceship thus drifted slowly out of the laboratory. The scientists were stunned by the scene before them. At that moment, Belle requested the system to take him 20 miles away. However, the next second, the spaceship experienced an unexpected event. The boy found an alien spaceship and accidentally activated the intelligent control system inside. Watching the armed guards outside, the boy immediately realized he was in big trouble. He hurriedly asked the system to take him 20 miles away to hide. Under the shocked gaze of the base staff, the spaceship immediately ascended vertically at 10 times the speed of sound. In just a few breaths, the ship broke through the atmosphere and entered space. The confused Belle's face was full of shock. He quickly asked the system to bring the spaceship back to the ground, and then the next second, the spaceship returned to the starting point under everyone's gaze. The Belle was astounded by the speed of the ship, but the intelligence system indicated that this was only the third flight mode. Then he summoned the other controllers of the ship, preparing to let the Belle experience the first flight mode. By then, the spaceship had turned into a droplet shape. With a swoosh, it disappeared from the base. The full-speed flying craft went through the wheat fields and quickly reached the 20-mile mark. The Belle, who got out to relieve himself, then learned the spaceship was from a planet called Phalun. It was sent to Earth to collect biological samples, and the Belle was its subject of study. But while it was sending him back to Earth, the spaceship accidentally hit a high-voltage line, causing the interstellar navigation map inside the spaceship to be erased. Fortunately, the system had copied the star chart into the Belle's head beforehand. Now the spaceship needed his help to return to the planet Phalun. However, at this moment, scientists had already located the spaceship's position. They immediately dispatched troops to retrieve it. Soon after, a deal was struck. The spaceship would take the Belle home, and he would hand over the star chart to the intelligence system. Under the astonished watch of the helicopter pilot, the ship slowly turned direction, and then the spaceship quickly reached the sea to completely shake off the military's pursuit. the ship plunged into the sea. The Belle immediately panicked. But he did not expect that the ship could survive unharmed underwater. At this moment, the system suddenly opened the storeroom. Inside, there were biological samples collected from various planets. Seeing the cute alien creature in front of him, the Belle couldn't help but hold it in his arms. Then the system told the Belle it has been 8 years since returning from planet Phalun. At this point, the Belle finally understood what had happened. One night, he was preparing to go to his grandmother's house to pick up his brother, but when he came to a forest, he suddenly started shouting at something ahead. Curious, he went forward to check, but suddenly slipped and fell from a height. When he awoke from unconsciousness, he immediately rushed home. However, at this time, he did not know everything around him had changed. When he opened the door of his house, he found a strange old lady. Panicked, he immediately rushed inside to search, and then realized this was not his home. Fortunately, the person took him to the police station. After looking up the Belle's information, the police found out that he had been missing for 8 years. They then took him to his parents. Seeing his parents, who had aged, the Belle could not believe what he was seeing. He then passed out. When he woke up in the hospital and saw his brother, who was now an adult, only then did the Belle believe that 8 years had passed. To understand why the Belle hadn't aged in 8 years, scientists brought him to the research base for study. However, to their amazement, the Belle's brainwaves in binary language displayed on the computer the structure of an alien spaceship. The boy unexpectedly fainted in the forest, but when he woke up, he found his parents had aged 8 years. Even his younger brother had grown taller than him. Looking at the unchanged Belle, scientists immediately took him to the lab to find out why there was no change in him. Then they were shocked to discover Belle's brainwaves started communicating directly with the computer using binary language. Not only did it display the shape of an alien spaceship, but also a peculiar alien script appeared. However, decoding this script would take years. So the scientists asked directly where he came from. The reply was from Flywheel Star, 560 light-years away from Earth. The scientists were very curious about how long it took. Belle's brainwaves showed it took 2.2 solar times. A bewildered Belle didn't understand this at all. The scientists explained to him. The round trip from Flywheel Star took 4.4 solar times, meaning 8 years had already passed on Earth. Because the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time becomes. The young Belle was scared by all this and ran out of the lab in panic. However, that night while asleep, Belle suddenly heard something, seemingly from the distant lab. Then the meal delivery robot entered the room. Prompted by the mysterious voice, he hid inside the meal delivery robot. Subsequently, the mysterious voice controlled the delivery robot and easily entered the lab. Then Belle climbed out of the robot. Following the guidance of the mysterious voice, he made his way to the deepest part of the lab. Only then did he realize the voice was coming from the spaceship in front of him. This is when the earlier scene happened. Realizing the spaceship crashed into the high-voltage line, thereby erasing the interstellar map, Belle promptly agreed to the intelligent system's request to copy the interstellar map from his brain. With a flash of green light, the intelligent system successfully retrieved the star map. But unexpectedly, the system also copied Belle's emotions. Now the system also had a childlike personality, throwing a tantrum and letting Belle pilot the spaceship. Just as the ship was about to crash into a snowy mountain, luckily, Belle pressed the button in time, saving his life. Then Belle ignored the self-communication and accidentally learned how to control the spaceship. However, the excited him didn't know the location of his new home, so he picked a direction and flew off. Only upon arriving did he realize he had ended up in Tokyo. Subsequently, he turned direction to cross the Pacific Ocean, finally seeing the familiar Golden Gate Bridge. After some time flying, Belle finally spotted a car on the road, so he immediately lowered his altitude, intending to ask for directions home. But the people in the car were terrified by the sudden appearance of the spaceship. Without a word, they floored the gas and fled the scene at breakneck speed. Bereft of any options, Belle had to land the spaceship at a gas station and borrowed some change from the owner to contact his parents. Watching the boy use an alien spaceship as transportation, the owner felt his decades were lived in vain. Soon Belle got through to his home. He arranged with his brother, who answered the call to set off fireworks on the house rooftop that night. When the time came in the evening, the brother followed through with setting off the fireworks on the rooftop. Belle finally spotted the exact location of home, but just as he arrived above the house, he suddenly saw many police cars surrounding the house. Descending from the ship, he finally realized the scientists wanted to take him back to the lab for research. Frightened, he turned back to the spaceship. Facing the strange home, Belle asked the intelligent system to travel through time, to take him back 8 years. The intelligent system agreed to his request as the indicator light turned red. The spaceship started to shuttle through the time tunnel, with bursts of electrical light flashing. When Belle woke up from the ground, he immediately got up and ran home. As he was about to open the door, he turned his head and saw his parents greeting him. At this moment, Belle realized he had traveled back. Reunited with his family, he felt immensely happy. Suddenly, an alien creature crawled out of his backpack. This was proof of his bizarre experience. The film ends here. Thank you all for watching.